Miss Carly.
Hi.
How are you today? Good. So, as we start our session today, I would like for you to try and think of one word from this list of verbs as to how do you think you are feeling today?
One from each column?
Just one word to describe how you're feeling today. Content. I like that. Can you use that word in a complete sentence?
I felt content today.
Very good job. I love that sentence. Nice job. Okay, so today we're going to talk about what it means to be a fluent reader. Okay? And how reading interactively can help you become one. I am so excited to share with you this book and these activities that I have chosen for us. As we read, you're going to recognize some vocabulary words in the book that I have highlighted. So, let's just go ahead right now and practice our vocabulary words. These are words that you can't pronounce and words that you pronounce but you don't know the meaning. Okay, here's our vocabulary words. Let's see if you know what, hide them from you. Let's see if you know what this word is. And if you don't know them, it's okay. We're going to work together sounding them out.
Urgency?
Okay, I can see how you would think that. So we know from what you said that the UR makes the right? Well, in this word, the G says J.
Urgency.
Urgency. Very good. And what do you think urgency means?
I'm not too sure.
Okay, it means very important and needing immediate attention. So it's urgent. We have to take care of it like right away. Sound good? Okay, there's that one. What about this one? Yes. Very good. That makes you feel good, doesn't it? That was kind of a hard one. So this word means very serious or formal in manner, behavior, or expression. So if you hear the word solemn, you would think serious. Okay. What about, let's get an easier one maybe. What about this word?
Village.
Village. What's a village? Do you know?
A small town.
Very good. A small town in the country. So Mankato would actually be considered a village. What about this one?
Fascinated.
Very good. What do you think fascinated means?
Very excited and I'm trying to use it without using a word.
That's a good start. It means to cause someone to become very interested in something or someone.
Interested.
Yep. Very interested. You are instantly interested. Okay. What about this one? Meadow. What do you think a meadow is if you think of a meadow?
A small creek.
A creek? Okay. It's actually a piece of land. So it's a usually flat area of land that is covered with tall grass. So the deer would go out to eat grass in the meadow. It's an area of grass. Okay. 2 more. Oh, 3 more. We're about there. What about this word?
Destroy.
Destroy. What does destroy mean?
You break it.
Yeah. To cause something or to end or to no longer exist, to cause the destruction of something.
And destruction is basically break. Scored.
Okay, I don't see a C sound in this word. You're close. The word is, let's sound it out together. Okay, the S says S. O-A says, O-A-R would say or. E-D says D. Okay, let's get our nice little felt, let's get our nice little felt squares out here and see if you can sound that word out with me.
Sword.
Okay. Okay, let's put those sounds together. We'll get this in front of us. So what's this word? Sword. Okay, so let's say sword. Sword. Good. Good. Okay, and what do you think sword means?
Like almost flew. Like you soared across the sky.
Right. To rise quickly upward to a great height. So like the eagle soared across the sky. And last one.
Rose.
Rose. Now this word is kind of what our lesson is going to be about today. Later, we're going to be talking about homophones and we're going to do a homophone activity. This word is a homophone. Okay? Do you know what a homophone is?
Two words that look the same, but they aren't the same thing.
Close. They're spelled the same, but they mean different things.
That's what I was trying to say.
Good job. Okay, so what do you think one meaning of rose could be?
Like the flower.
Okay. Do you know a different way that you could use the word rose? How would you use it?
Like you rose up.
Yes. So in our story today, we are going to use the definition that means to stand up, which is actually the past tense of rise. Okay, good. Now we got those done. And you know what we're going to do with these words throughout our tutoring sessions here for the next couple of weeks is we're going to make a word wall so we can practice them sometimes. Okay? So for today, we're going to put them just kind of back in their little envelope. And we can always look back at those if we need to during the story, okay? All right. Okay. Here's the book we're going to read today. Can you tell me what the title of this book is?
Because I love you.
That is correct. And who is the author of this book? Lucado, I think is how you say that. So just from looking at the front of this book and looking at the art that's on it and the imagery, what do you think this book is going to be about?
He is going to teach the little boy how to do something with wood carving.
Okay. Yeah.
Because hammers and this wood and there's a bunch of wood back here.
Right. Okay. So I am actually going to read this book to you today. Okay? So you just get to listen and follow along. Okay? And since we only have one book, we're just going to share. Okay? All right. Can you see the book okay if I hold it like this?
Yes.
Okay. Long ago, in a land far away, and unlike any you've ever seen, there lived a wise man named Shoddy. Shoddy was a large man with a tender heart. He had bright blue eyes and a long, thick beard. When he laughed, which is something he did often, his cheeks would lift until his eyes became half moons of joy. When he sang, which is something he did often, everything stopped to listen. Tall aspens would blend. Squirrels, butterflies, and birds would pause. Even the children would turn when they heard his voice. And well, they should. It was for them he sang. So as I read this book to you, I would like for you to try and listen for the way that I say the words and like how fluent I'm reading it. This is what we're talking about, is reading fluency. So noticing my, like I said, my tone. When I have a period, I pause. When I have a comma, I pause. And how sometimes when I'm reading different words, my voice might go up or it might come down. Okay?
So, can I say something?
Uh-huh.
So actually you're supposed to pause longer at periods than commas.
That's correct. And for the children, Shadi had built a wonderful village. It was more than any child could dream. The children plunged into the blue sky pond. They squealed as they soared high on the swings that hung from the apple tree branches. They scampered through the meadows and giggled in the orchards. The sun never seemed to set too early, and the cool night sky always brought a quiet peace. And, most of all, Shadi was always near. When Shadi wasn't in the meadow with the children or in the orchards with the children, he was in the workshop with the children. They loved to be with him while he was working, and they loved to smell the sawdust, hear him sing, and watch him carve a chair out of a log or make a table out of a tree. They would gather around him and take turns pressing their tiny hands against his great big one. Every night he would gather the children on the grassy meadow and tell them stories. Fascinated, the children would listen as long as Shadi or their weary eyes allowed. The children loved Shadi, and Shadi loved the children. He knew each one by name, and he knew everything about them. He knew Lucy's love of birds. He knew Ronald's fear of darkness. He knew Daphne was friendly and Spencer was shy. He knew Paladin was curious. When one of them called his name, he dropped whatever he was doing and turned. His giant heart had 100 strings, each held by a different child. And Shadi loved each one the same. That's why he built the wall. The wall was a high stone fence surrounding the village. Shadi had built it rock upon rock. The wall was so tall it stood high above Shadi. Even if he stretched his arms as high as he could, he still couldn't touch the top of the wall. He spent days building it. And as he built, he did not sing. A deadly forest stood outside the village. As Shadi built the fence, he would often pause and look into the meadows beyond. Cruel thorns and savage beasts and hidden pits filled the dark forest. This was no place for the children Shadi loved. Beyond the wall is danger, he would tell the children in solemn tones. You were made for my village, not for the terrible land beyond. Stay with me, it's safe here. But in his heart, he knew it was only a matter of time. The day he placed the final stone on the wall, he returned to his shop, took a long aspen branch, sat down at his bench, and carved a staff. Shadi took the staff in a corner. I'll be ready, he told himself. Some time later, a boy ran into Shadi's workshop. The sandy-haired child, with searching eyes and restless energy, brought the maker both joy and concern. Shadi, in the motion, the maker dropped his hammer and turned. What is it, Paladin? The boy spoke in spurts as if he gasped for air. The wall! I found a hole! It's a big opening, sir! The boy's hands stretched to show the size. Someone could crawl through it. Shoddy pulled over a stool and sat down. I knew it would be you, Paladin, my child. Tell me, how did you find it? I was walking along the wall searching for holes. Paladin paused, surprised that Shoddy knew. Yes, I was looking for holes. So you could see out into the forest? I was curious, Shoddy. I wanted to know what you wouldn't let us go out there. Why is it so bad? Shoddy motioned for the boy to come to him. When Paladin came near, the maker cupped the small face with his hands and lifted it so the boy would look directly into his eyes. The urgency of the look caused Paladin's stomach to feel empty. Paladin, listen to me. The lands out there are not for you. They are not for me. A journey into the forest will hurt you. You were not made for those lands. Let your feet carry you to the many places you can go, not to the ones you can't. If you leave here, you will not find the way back. Paladin spoke softly. You will fix the hole then? No, Paladin. I created the hole because I love you so much. But you just said you don't want us to leave. I don't want you to leave. I want you to stay with me. But I did make the opening when I built the wall. But if you don't fix it, said Paladin, the children might leave. I know, Paladin, but I want the children to stay because they want to, not because they have to. Paladin didn't understand. Uncomfortable, he turned to leave. He needed to think about what Shoddy had said. As he entered the sunlight, he looked back into the shop. There sat Shoddy, leaning backward, still watching. Paladin was confused. Part of him wanted the safety of Shoddy's shop, while another part drew him toward the fence. He looked again into the shop. Shoddy was standing now, not moving, but standing. His large hand stretched out to the boy. Paladin turned quickly away, as if he hadn't seen. He walked as fast as he could, aimlessly at first, then purposefully toward the fence. I don't want to get too near, he said to himself. I'll just peek out. Questions came as quickly as his steps. What do I want to do with what Shoddy doesn't want me to do? Why am I so curious? Is it so wrong to want to see beyond the fence? By now, Paladin was at the hole. Without stopping to think, he lay on his stomach and squirmed through just as far enough to stick his head out the other side. I'll just take a quick look, he told himself. What could be wrong with that? Shoddy said he made the hole because he loved us. I wonder what he's keeping from me. As his knees were moving on their own, Paladin crawled farther. Soon he was through the hole and on the other side of the wall. He rose slowly to his feet. For several moments, he didn't move. He wondered if something would come out of the trees and to hurt him. Nothing did. He relaxed his shoulders and sighed. It's not so bad, he said aloud. It's nice out here. What was Shoddy so worried about? Paladin began walking into the forest. Twigs snapped beneath his bare feet. Sweet flowers scented the air. I don't see any scary creatures, he thought. The trees were so thick he could barely see the sky. Just a few steps into the woods, he said aloud, to see what it's like. After a dozen more steps, he stopped. He liked the wilderness. Nothing to fear here. For the first time in his young life, he believed that Shoddy was wrong. Just wait until I tell the others. As he turned to go back through the hole, but the hole was gone. He stopped and stared. He saw only the solid wall. Paladin ran to the wall. Where was the spot that he had crawled through? Or was it something else? He couldn't remember. He ran a dozen steps one way and a dozen steps the other way. Nothing. Suddenly he heard a strange sound in the woods behind him. He swung around, but he saw nothing. Paladin looked into the forest. Now it no longer seemed friendly. It was dark and threatening, as if it were about to destroy him. Desperately, Paladin searched the wall. He couldn't climb over. He couldn't break through. There was no way home. If you leave here, you will not find the way back. Shoddy's words rang in his mind. The boy's eyes were wide with fear. He sat on the ground and hugged his knees to his chest and began to cry. As Paladin huddled there, lonely and afraid, he remembered something else Shoddy often said. I love you so much. Does he love me enough to come and find me? Wondered the boy. Will he hear if I call to him? Shoddy! Shoddy! I'm so sorry. I didn't listen to you. Please come help me. Paladin's plea had been heard by the one who loved him even before it was spoken. For as the boy left Shoddy's workshop, the maker had watched him as long as he could. When Paladin was out of sight, Shoddy turned, not to take up his work, but to remove his apron. He hung his tools on the wall, then he reached into the corner and took the staff, the one he'd carved after he finished the wall. Even before Paladin had reached the wall, Shoddy had left the shop. Even before Paladin had asked for help, Shoddy was on the way to give it. Even before the hole in the wall had closed, Shoddy had opened another. His strong hands pulled away the rocks until he could see into the forest. With his staff at his side, Shoddy crawled through the hole. He left the village he'd made and set out in search of his child. The end.
There needs to be another book to that. I don't know what happens next.
Maybe there is, and maybe I have it. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. So, what was this book about, you think? How would you describe it?
I would describe it,
Or how would you summarize it, I guess I should say. What happened in the beginning of the book?
everyone was very happy, and it was kind of just an intro
Mm-hmm.
of the story,
Mhm.
and the intro was basically about how almost like a tour of the village,
Yeah.
basically.
Mhm.
And then in the middle, it was Shoddy built a wall, and then around the end, he was this boy. Did it say his name?
Paladin?
He was very curious, and he wanted to know what was outside the wall, so he crawled through the hole, and then he came to find it. And then he came to find him.
Do you remember what his name is?
Shoddy.
Very good. What was Shoddy's job? What did he do in the story?
Can't take care of the kids.
Yeah, but where did he do his work?
His workshop.
Right. So what was his job, you think?
Being a woodcrafter.
Yeah. Yep. I agree with you. What did you notice about my reading?
You were fluent when you were reading the story, go up if it was like exciting and low if it was like sadder.
Mm-hmm. Did you notice that I changed my tone of voice when I was speaking about in the dialogue with Paladin, and then a different tone of voice when I was talking in Shadi's voice?
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good way also to read when you're reading out loud. Okay. So, from what we've just discussed so far today in our session, what do you think it means to be a fluent reader?
To be nice and neat when you read it.
Yeah. Fluent readers read with expression, and they read in a way that helps the listener stay interested in what is being said. So you want your listener to be interested in what you're saying. Fluent readers also pay attention to punctuation, which we discussed.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when you have a comma?
You pause, but you don't pause for a long amount of time.
Uh-huh. And what about a period?
You pause, but for a little bit longer, but not that much.
What about a question mark? What do you do when you see a question mark?
You like question if it was like.
So, like, what would your voice sound like if there was a question mark?
Like almost interested in what they were asking,
Mm-hmm.
asking kind of.
Let me see if I can find a sentence here that has a question mark, and I can show you one more time. Here we go. Here's one. What is it, Paladin? Did you notice how my voice kind of went up a little bit? Like, what is it, Paladin? Kind of goes up. Okay, so that's what your voice can sound like when there's a question. What should your voice maybe sound like when there's an exclamation mark? Excited. Good job. Fluent reading helps the reader also better understand the passage. So if you were just reading and you never stopped and you started a new sentence and then you never stopped and then you started a new sentence, that would kind of be like it wouldn't really give you enough time to process like what you were reading, because all the words would sort of blur together in your memory, if that makes sense. When you pause, when you stop, then it helps you understand better.
Are you
what you're
recording?
reading. Yes.
Oh, can you go and stay here for a little bit to hang out?
I guess. Shut the door. Don't come back in.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. So now I am also going to assess your reading fluency and your feelings about reading in general. So while I'm getting my materials gathered, how about you practice whisper reading from the book we just read? Sometimes it helps if you hear your own reading. Sometimes it helps if you hear yourself read too. It's good practice. So it won't take me very long to get this set up. Okay? And I want to hear you read too. I want to hear you read out loud.
I'm like, wait, what is that? And then I saw the L.
I'm just going to get something pulled up real quick, and then we'll be ready to go. Goodness, girl, are you sleepy or what? Okay. Are you ready?
My eyes were watering.
Okay. Go ahead and get a drink, and then I'm going to have you place that on the table for a little bit. Okay. Please read this out loud.
Okay.
If you get stuck, I will tell you the word so you can keep reading. When I say stop, I may ask you to tell me about what you read, so do your best reading. You're going to start here
At the title.
at the title. Okay? Whenever you're ready, start reading.
Honesty. My mom always tells me that honesty is the best
Policy?
policy. I wasn't quite sure what she meant by that until I found some money the other day. I was walking home from school and I saw a bag in the street. I could tell that something was in it, but I wasn't sure what. I walked over to the bag, picked it up, and then walked back to the sidewalk. It was heavy and lumpy. I opened it up and it was stacks of money. I had never seen this much money before. I was baffled because
Good reading. Alrighty. Set that over there, I guess, for now. Okay, let's see what's next here. Okay. Now I'm going to see how you feel about reading. Do you know who this is on this paper?
That's Garfield.
It is Garfield. You're right. Nice job.
Why is this the lasagna?
What?
Why is this lasagna?
Okay, so in this bag, you have a pencil. I'd like for you to get your pencil out, please. And go ahead and write your name and your grade on that paper for me. All the way in the top zipper.
I already got my pencil. I just wanted to see if you could open up the other ones.
Oh, okay. So here, go ahead and write your name and your grade on that paper, please.
Like that. Oh, it's here. I wrote it down here.
That's okay. I like how you wrote your name and you also wrote it in cursive. Good job. Okay. First thing I want to tell you is that this is not a test and there are not any right answers. Right. There are not any wrong answers either. That is correct. So before you get started, I would like for you to look at Garfield's expressions. How do you think he feels in this?
Very excited.
Okay. What about this one?
A little less excited.
About this one?
Disappointed.
And
Annoyed.
okay, I'll take that. I like those emotion words. Okay, so
I just
together
said
we will read the statements about reading, and you should think about how you feel about each statement. Then circle the picture of Garfield that is closest to your own feelings about that statement. Respond according to your own feelings, not as Garfield might respond. Okay? We're going to read each item slowly. And then as you're thinking, I might read it again if you need me to. Okay. So there's about 20 items, and it should only take about 10 minutes. Okay? Okay. Are you ready to get started?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to be reading upside down, so bear with me here. Okay. It says, please circle the picture that describes how you feel when you read a book. Number 1. How do you feel when you read a book on a rainy Saturday? Please circle the picture that best describes your feelings. Number 2, how do you feel when you read a book in school during your free time?
So I was like, how you feel or how you like?
How do you feel when you read a book in school during free time? Just circle whichever one you think of first. It should only take about a couple seconds to answer each one of these, okay? Don't think too much about it. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah, but most of them are like in between them.
Okay, that makes sense. How do you feel about reading for fun at home? Good job. I like how you did that one a lot faster. Number 4, how do you feel about getting a book for a present? I don't know, whenever you would receive a present. Maybe your birthday. Next page.
I wouldn't even know what it is.
All right. Number 5. How do you feel about spending free time reading a book? Number 6. How do you feel about starting a new book? 7. How do you feel about reading during summer vacation? Number 8. How do you feel about reading instead of playing?